can't post some money and then get out of custody and fail to appear indefinitely over and over and over again. The DOJ celebrating this one in a reversal of the Democrats. The case comes out of Minnesota, where they had a little insurgency out there. You can see the case was brought in front of this trial judge called John R. Thunheim and went up on appeal and then got reversed. And you see the decision here in the judgment came down. We got 3 judges who all heard the case on the panel. They said this appeal from the district court was submitted on the record of the district court, briefs of the parties, and we even had arguments. And after consideration, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that the judgment of the district lower level court is reversed, and the case is remanded for further proceedings consistent with the opinion of this court. Here's the full decision here. You see, they've substituted in Mark Wayne Mullen, the new Homeland Security Secretary. We got the pro-illegal alien groups called American Immigration Council, American Immigration Lawyers Association, and Immigration Law Scholars. They're not really American organizations. I mean, they are, but they're representing non-Americans. So they like to kind of fake you out there, kind of like the Patriot Act, like you're a patriot if you want your government to spy on you. Now, are we really patriots? Are you really American? Because it seems like you're fighting on behalf of foreigners. Now, this is an interesting decision, and you can see how upset the dissent is. We'll come back to this. I just wanted to share this dissent because Erickson said this, and anytime you see something like this, what we're talking about is an appeal to emotion. Okay, they just want to pull on your heartstrings and say, how could you do this to this person? He writes this about the dissent. He's very mad that they're going to be held without bond now. Except for a single DUI for nearly 20 years, Joaquin Herrera Avila has been living a law-abiding life in the United States. Really though? Has he? He's been here illegally. So how is that law-abiding? It's just a fake propaganda judge. On August 29th, he was stopped by deportation officers. Oh, how come he was stopped? Because he was illegal. So not law-abiding is what you're saying. For the past 29 years, he would have been entitled to a bond hearing during his removal proceedings, meaning he could post some money and get out. The court now holds, and this is so insane, that Avila, and listen to this, millions of others, and this is the whole problem. Why do we have millions of people here who are subject to being stopped for deportation? Millions. Even the dissenting judge is saying this. It's now subject to mandatory detention. And in doing so, what they're doing, this court, is engaging in a new novel interpretation of this key phrase called aliens seeking admission. And said no other prior administrations have done this, and so I respectfully dissent. All right. So you can see he's just like, well, it's, you know, as long as you're here illegally for a very long time, then nobody can do anything about it. And he even acknowledges that millions of others are here in the same situation. Millions. It's insane. And then, of course, we pay for everything for them, for many of them. And what ends up happening is they come and have kids here, and then those kids are citizens, and then it becomes more difficult to deport the parents because, like, you can't deport the parent of the child because that will mean that you're separating families. How could you do that? How come he came into the country illegally and lived here without ever applying for any type of program? Let's see what the story is. It says here, Joaquin Avila is a native and citizen of Mexico, was apprehended in Minneapolis in August 2025 for lacking legal documents authorizing his admission into the country. Yeah, DHS detained him without bond and brought removal proceedings against him. The district court granted his petition for a writ of habeas corpus, saying you have to let him go and release him. The government now appeals. The court says we have jurisdiction and we reverse that lower level hack judge, saying this guy illegally entered the United States without inspection or admission in 2006, left, came back again in 2016. Federal law makes it illegal to enter the United States at any time or place illegal. So how is this judge in the dissent saying he was law-abiding? He's in violation of U.S. Code right there, U.S. Code section 1325A. Any time other than a designated place. You can be subject to a term of imprisonment of up to 6 months for the first offense and 2 years for subsequent offenses. In August 2025, Homeland encountered him during a traffic stop. He admitted he entered the country illegally. Wow. He admitted it, and the dissenting judge can't even understand his own admission because they're just propagandists. And lacked documents authorizing his admission. Homeland said, oh, okay, well, you're getting arrested. We're going to initiate removal proceedings. We're going to issue you a notice to appear, and we're going to charge you with removability. You don't have the documents. Then they detained him without bond, meaning he can't post money or come to a deal, for like exchange property or something to get out, while it brought these removal proceedings against him. He requested a bond redetermination before an immigration judge over in Article 2. You have Article 3 judges, you have Article 2 judges. The Article 2 judges govern immigration. That immigration judge denied his request. So then he went to a district court judge, went forum shopping, tried to bypass the entire system, go around it, to another friendly judge in the federal courts, seeking his release, and that hack judge granted it. Central to its decision was this statute. It authorizes detention without bond for an alien who is an applicant for admission if an alien seeking admission is not clearly and beyond doubt entitled to be admitted. They said, well, this provision does not apply to him because he lived in the country without seeking any lawful immigration status like naturalization, asylum, refugee, or any other designations. So therefore, he was not seeking admission under the law. While an alien remains, quote, an applicant for admission, so long as he is present in the United States and has not been admitted, he is also presently seeking admission, regardless of whether he takes any further steps as well. Not only do the similar meanings apply between applicant for admission and seeking admission, they are essentially equivalent, but the grammatical structure of the statute does too. Generally, when a law lists a phrase as a distinct condition, it will use clauses like the word if and to show that it is required. For example, if someone says, I will buy the car if it is inexpensive and reliable, there are two conditions for the car. It's got to be inexpensive and reliable. That word and there connects the two. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? On the other hand, if an if clause does not emphasize a secondary phrase and has no conjunctive term like the word and or as well as, this indicates only one condition. Here, the structure of the law does not indicate that seeking admission is a separate requirement for detention. As the law states, an applicant for admission must be detained if the examining immigration officer determines that an alien seeking admission is not clearly ... entitled to be admitted. He wants us to read it differently and find that there are two conditions for detention, one pertaining to seeking admission and one pertaining to an entitlement to admission, but this reading is highly unnatural, and we're not going to do that. Congress wanted to do that, they could have done it. Thus, Avila's argument that the government's interpretation renders the phrase seeking admission superfluous is unconvincing. Since the structure of the text does not indicate that this phrase has standalone meaning, merely using it as a synonym does not make it surplusage and irrelevant, or something that you can dismiss. Avila also asserts applicant for admission is a term of art of special meaning, but that's also unavailing. And other provisions indicate that seeking admission is and mirrors the term of art applicant for admission, and there are other exemptions for that. But you can see it's a lot of kind of textual analysis. What do the words mean? How do they get smashed together? So none of the government's history or any of these other statute order. He also says that this cannot apply because the Lake and Riley Act. That authorizes detention without bond for aliens who commit serious offenses. But he overlooks this other subsection called C. It does apply to both aliens who have not yet been admitted, like if you're an applicant, as well as those who were previously admitted but have lost their legal status. And this is not something that overrides the law that is pertinent in this case, and what this is an effort by Congress to be doubly sure that no parole is going to aliens who have committed certain offenses. Now lastly, he says, well, what about legislative history? This is the kind of catch-all argument. Well, there's somebody who said sometime during the debates back in the Senate when they were having a conversation about this, that they didn't mean it this way exactly. He notes that Congress delayed the implementation of this because we actually couldn't detain another 45,000 illegals. But he says Congress must not have believed that any of this applied to anybody arrested in the interior, right? This is as long as you get the TV out the front door on Black Friday from the Walmart, you're good. Nobody can touch you because you're out the door. You're in the country. However, Avila's argument is unconvincing because, quote, it is never our job to rewrite the law under the banner of speculation about what Congress might have done. And so we find that the lower court erred in holding that the government could not detain this guy without bond, and they should not have granted habeas relief on that basis. But that seems about as obvious as can go. We reverse the judgment of the district court and remand the case for further proceedings consistent with this opinion. And in Arizona, we're getting some good developments. We need maximum friction for illegal aliens who are in the country. IDs if you want to get on an airplane, but don't give IDs to illegal aliens. No driver's licenses for illegal aliens. No bank accounts for illegal aliens. You don't get to participate in America if you're here illegally. You don't get to come in here and then operate without any friction on your existence. No sending money overseas, none of that going on. Arizona taking steps in the positive direction. Here's what this one sounds like.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Wendy Rogers, Flagstaff. This is a bill that when it was presented in committee in the Senate, we had a lot of disruptors and whistles and all kinds of commotion. It's contentious, but here is what it is. This says that unless you're a U.S. citizen, you cannot send remittances home, essentially, and or deal with banks in the same way.
Nice.
Interestingly, in committee in the Senate, we had a lobbyist from the banking industry that said, we don't want to be regulated. And there was a video of my exchange with him, whereupon I said, well, you want to benefit from dealing with back and forth exchanges with non-citizens. You want that benefit, but you don't want to be regulated. You want it both ways. And that time has come to a close with this to reassert our sovereignty as United States citizens in terms of where the economy and our profits are going. And they should not be going back home to other countries.
Billions.
I stand for questions.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Seeing none.
That's exactly right. We need to stop the ease of life for the people who don't honor our own sovereignty and American integrity. They want to come apply and do it correctly, not jump in front of the line of everybody else who's actually trying to apply and come into the country, much of which should be reduced anyways. They are met with serious impediments to living life lavishly as an illegal alien in America. And all of the funds, any government grants that are going to any of these immigration groups should all be cut off, and the deportations should continue on in full.